Hello everyone, it is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 replay cast. Just gonna sort of address the microphone elephant in the room. I don't know what you want to call it. For those of you tuning into this, I may sound a little bit different. I've messed with my microphone a little bit just to preface this cast. And yeah, I've messed with it, moved it a little bit closer because I know it sort of had a bit of echo and stuff in the past. Ever since I moved, it basically threw things into chaos, and now I just moved my microphone so it's a lot closer in my face and whatnot. But we're going to be having ourselves a Terran versus Zerg on the map King's Cove today. It should be a fantastic one. It's another one of these WCS replays. Just has the potential to be a fantastic match here. I'm going to go out and say that these probably are two lesser known players. This is not like necessarily the most well-known players, but they're still very good, very consistent players, and the game should be great regardless. So spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, it is BratOK, the Russian Terran player, and he is on Team Star something. Let me just double check. Team Starcom. And his opponent in the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's Cham. He may be a little bit more well-known, I feel. He's on Team Shivo, and he's had a fair few decent WCS runs, so that's pretty cool. Now, yeah, let's just see how this game's gonna go between these two. As both these guys, I'd say they're probably pretty evenly matched. BratOK just Russian, whereas Cham is a Mexican player, so I'm not sure how often they face each other. I think Cham maybe plays on the European server a little bit, so maybe they do match up every now and then. But either way, no, I think it should be a great match here. Terran versus Zerg. If I had to take a guess, just right if I was going to define this match, I'd say BratOK's probably going to mech because that's what he's known for. But we'll see. How's he going to approach this? For now, it's a pretty standard opening coming out of both these guys. Reaper going to be moving across the map, so very, very normal things going on for now. And yeah, just if you guys have any feedback for the audio or anything, let me know. Just I'll be making some tweaks here and there. But as far as one thing that I wanted to talk about as well, just as this cast is getting underway, I said I'd probably read a comment before basically, or during any cast before things really get started, unless it's like a 2-minute Baneling bust or something like that, but that is not the case this match, so I figured I'd read a comment from Mr. Donkey on one of the Africa World VODs, just Africa World 38, says, "Give us 60 FPS, we are in 2019, man." And basically, for those of you wondering, some of my videos are in 60 FPS, some of them are not. The ones that are not generally are stream VODs, and basically what that means is that they've been broadcast to Africa TV or Twitch TV, and that means that they're broadcast live, and that uses a lot of bandwidth, so you can't necessarily stream in 60 FPS, so as a result, when they get clipped and put onto YouTube, they're still not in 60 FPS, so on VODs like that, 30 FPS is the par, but still great games regardless. You guys should check them out. And let's take a look at how this game's starting out. Reaper, Hellions just poking at the third base. Cham doing their normal thing. That Hellion count slowly increases for the Terran player as BratOK's going for a Cloak Banshee. So a very, very standard Terran versus Zerg opening build here. Like, this is so common. Cham is going to get on in here with his Overlord. We see this little red blob moving on in here. Flies right on over. Confirms Cloak has started. Confirms that factory is producing Hellions, so he knows what he's going to be dealing with, and they say knowing is half the battle. In that case, Cham's doing pretty well. No Cham, what are these Zergs? I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen too much of Cham lately to know exactly how he's gonna play it, but yeah, he's pretty consistent. Like, he plays, like, some longer series versus other great players. Like, I want to say that he 5-0'd Clem in a series lately, just off results off the top of my head. But he's someone who plays and practices a lot. And that's important at being good at StarCraft 2. Like, some people, they might just be a little more, say, talented at it naturally, but then others, they'll just work their butt off. And I think Cham is probably one of those people. Now, let's see. Banshee comes on in for BratOK, but Cham runs the drones. So far, not a single unit has gone down this game. Meanwhile, the Hellions coming on in. The Banshee is in position there, abusing the fact that there's no lair, so there's actually no detection for this Banshee. The Banshee got to be careful for BratOK, though. Oh, she takes a beating there. Just got to be so careful. So the Banshee working away on the Queen, zoning him out. And now the Hellions are actually running into the main base of Cham. BratOK sort of splitting his Hellions odd, though. So Ling's getting on top of them. Cham having Lings pretty much everywhere they needed to be to intercept that. Even a couple of Banelings finishing up, but I'm not sure we'll need to get on in there. Doesn't matter. One of the Banelings just crashes into an almost dead Hellion. The Banshee picks off a Baneling or two. I don't know. It killed off a few units, maybe like a Queen or something. Yeah, Queen, a few Lings. But all the Hellions were cleaned up, and that hurts for BratOK as Cham doing what he needed to do, making that defense happen. He's now got a Roach Warren on the way. This is something I was wondering if we'd see for Cham. He is a very Roach-heavy player from what I've known of him. Meanwhile, BratOK, of course, following this up with mech. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Cham has scouted that it's mech. He saw the extra factory, so that's important for him. But there's a lot of styles of mech. And BratOK is very well versed in those kind of styles. So BratOK didn't get too much done with his opening. Banshee's coming on in. They do have their cloaks, so they're actually going to be able to maybe pick off a Queen. Spore Crawler tries to save one of the Queens. Oh, she does not survive, so nicely done by BratOK, getting a bit of value there. And he's just making 4 factories at a time, so he's going to be powering up as the meching Terran. And guys, the sign of a good StarCraft 2 Terran is that they prep their add-ons on another structure, and then they float them over. And yeah, that is just a sign of a good player, because that's a lot of effort to do that. I don't do that in my games. I should, but I don't. Now, let's see. Banshees sharking around here. Meanwhile, Cham, though, just pretty much safe from everything. Hasn't taken any major damage. He's now planning for a Ling counterattack. Maybe waiting for BratOK to move out. Can't go in for now, otherwise he'll eat a fair few Hellion shots. And good reaction from Cham, though. Gets on out of there with his Lings. BratOK, though, looking to maybe move on out. Ooh, Banshees go down. Nice find there for BratOK. Or for Cham, pardon me. And look at this. This is a blast from the past. Infestors on the way for Cham. Cham's going to be looking to deal with those Hellions by locking them down with Infestors, but for now there's actually so many Hellions, they're just running on in. Oh my god, are these Hellions just going to kill a lot of drones or something? Some heading towards the natural, meanwhile there's Hellions in the third base. Drones are running every which way, it would seem, but looks like BratOK might be getting a fair bit of damage. And keep in mind he committed a lot of Hellions to this, but I think he's going to find himself a fair bit of damage. Nicely done for BratOK, microing these Hellions as this is going on. Drones running every which way. BratOK going to fry up another few drones. He just had so many Hellions and Cham wasn't prepared for them to dive on in. They even killed a Roach or two. So in the end, BratOK gets 16 drones. That being said, Cham is one of these monster Zerg players who makes so many drones, those losses seem just moot, as, like, he's already up to 74 drones again. He never took any real damage. Now, one thing to point out, though, is that BratOK, he's going up to a very strong economy himself, matching that Zerg player in the worker count. He's getting up a 4th base already, which is very important. Terrans have been going for these mech styles off the back of a very strong economy. That's the main story for Terrans going for this mech. And now we see Hellions and Cyclones are going to be moving on in. And is Cham ready to deal with this? He gets a nice bungle on some of the Hellions there, but the Cyclone's still locking onto a few units. The Mag Field Accelerator. I don't even know what Mag Field Accelerator means, but it basically means that Roaches are going to have themselves a bad time because they are armored units. And that makes those Hellions or those Cyclones deal a ton of damage to them. +2 armor on the way for BratOK, so wanting to keep those Hellions and Cyclones alive a little bit longer. Basically, Hellions and Cyclones are very fragile units, so that's why you want the armor. And they don't really benefit too much from attack upgrades, as the Cyclones' damage is from the lock-on ability. They have their missile pod attack, but that is so rarely actually seen doing anything. It's just to make it so that the unit's not too weird. And then Hellions, They're pretty much just don't benefit too much from attack upgrades either. I guess they technically do versus drones, but he's got Blue Flame. Now, let's see these Hellions and Cyclones moving on in. Walks onto the Fueling, pops them off. Infestor on the high ground gets picked off. Cyclones just annihilate Infestors too. As, let's take a look here. In comes these Hellions and Cyclones, gonna be moving on in, locking onto some of these units. Hellions now running into the natural, so Cham could be taking a bit more damage. The Queens do a good job messing with the Hellion AI, but BratOK is targeting with these, so he finds himself 10 drones. Meanwhile, on the front lines, both these guys still skirmishing. A lot of roaches get locked on there. One more volley, and that would have been like 5 or 6 dead roaches. And yeah, these Hellions and Cyclones still just poking on in. A bit of a negative, or a bad concave there for BratOK, so has to get out. But look at this, these Hellions still in the natural can kill off more and more of these drones. And okay, beautifully done. Now, let's see, these Infestors. They're useful, but you gotta be very careful with the Infestors because Cyclones lock onto them and kill them in like, what, 2-3 shots, I want to say? And that's because the Infestors are armored. So it's a lot of damage done by a Cyclone to an Infestor. There's also Corruptors out, so that might be jumping the gun a little bit. Maybe not, as there is the Greater Spire done. So Broodlords can shut down Cyclones. Looks like for now Cham is pursuing BratOK off creep. Gets a fungal down on some of the Cyclones. And if you can catch the Hellions and Cyclones, you can generally kill them. So Cham doing what he needs to do for now, repelling his opponent, hanging on. And once he does have out the Broodlords, he'll be in a much more comfortable position. Because right now we see 7 Broodlords out for Cham, and BratOK still just making Cyclones, really. He's getting up more command centers, which is great to see. He's secured himself a 5th base already, which is just so pivotal for him. But he does need some anti-air in order to deal with these Corruptors, in order to deal with these Broodlords. For now, he can play around the map, picking off these units and denying creep and such, pulling Cham apart. That's one way you can deal with the Broodlords, but if you're BratOK, you eventually do need to address the elephant in the room, which is the fact that these Broodlords are pretty much unkillable with Hellions and Cyclones, so you need something else. And I love Zergs that play this style. They play the defensive style, and do it well, namely, as Cham, he's losing creep and stuff, but so far BratOK hasn't gone in, hasn't been able to snipe off a base or anything like that. Hellions coming on in towards this location of Cham. Let's see some static defense, Cham. Let's see some spine crawlers and spore crawlers or something, because these Hellion run-bys could get a lot more damage done, as BratOK has been very consistent with them. And some Zerg will get a ton of spines. There we go, getting them, and now a little bit late, but still going to have those help defend from those Hellion run-bys, which BratOK is going to be looking out, because if you're the Broodlord Zerg player, you are thinking, you're like, right, I'm unkillable. There's no way my opponent can touch me. And that basically means that, or touch my army, and that basically means that he's going to have to play around it. So you really got to focus on shutting down those avenues of attack that are not head-on. That means like defending from drops, defending from run-bys, defending from base snipes, things like that. And Cham has 5 or 10 spine crawlers on the way, which is very important. One thing I do want to point out for Cham, though, is the fact that he is making so many Broodlords, man. Look at this. 12 Broodlords out for Cham, and he's actually just gone up to 14, 15. This is too many Broodlords, guys. I'm gonna talk about this for a second. The only reason why you need a lot of Broodlords... Okay, Cham's taking a lot of damage from Hellion run-bys. Oh my god. Hold that thought for a second. 11 drones going down. Meanwhile, the Hellions and Cyclones move on in, picking off some other structures. Not sure where those Broodlings came from. Some Vikings get picked off. But Cham taking a lot more drone damage. Cyclones just roll on up. They're pretty committed right now. That looks like BratOK might be wanting to trade off supply, and he does just that. Although he is making more Cyclones, so that's a bit odd. But as I was saying, guys, the Broodlords are so slow, they can't defend from these harassments earlier or easily. So the Broodlords are a deterrent. Basically what it says is, I have Broodlords, you cannot kill me with Hellions and Cyclones, or just other ground-based units like tanks and such. Basically, and the Broodlords require a definitive answer. However, if you just make a ton of Broodlords and your opponent's making a ton of Vikings, you can actually overcommit right now, because right now there's only 8 Corruptors out versus 6 Vikings. And that's because he turned most of his Corruptors into Broodlords. So if BratOK gets up enough Vikings here, the Broodlords don't help defend themselves. It's all on the Corruptors and Infestors, which isn't a ton of anti-air that Cham has right now, and he's realizing this, so he's getting up more Corruptors, which is good to see. But that's something I wanted to point out. Cham, 15 Broodlords are bullying down these bases, but 5 would probably have done the same job. We're now seeing an engagement go down the Fungal, lock it onto some of these Cyclones. Fantastic Fungal Parasitic Bomb combo on the Vikings, though. The Broodlords, they're getting worked away on by some of these Vikings, and suddenly, look at this. The Broodlords have nothing to cover for them, so the Vikings are going to be able to work on them. A few more Corruptors are rolling forward, but yeah, look at this. Not enough anti-air, really, for Cham for a second here. He does have a few more Corruptors roll up just in time, which is great to see. There is enough of the Broodlords to push the Cyclones back, so that he did make enough in that sense. But look at this, yeah, you're losing the air army as the Zerg player, which is not something that should usually happen for a Zerg with a good amount of supply and a good economy, because the Corruptors and Vipers definitely beat Vikings. Now a random counterattack from BratOK, actually finding some of these Corruptors is absolutely huge. Cyclones just slaughter Corruptors, so gonna be able to keep that anti-air victory, or those that air-to-air army in his lead there. Cyclones still just rolling by. Vikings maybe looking for some Broodlords, but BratOK now looking to push on out. He took damage, he lost 2 bases or 2 command centers, but he's got more up. He's still got a healthy worker count, and he's pulling back for now. So that was a good learning moment for StarCraft guys. Like Cham, he committed to so many Broodlords, because you want a lot of Broodlords if you see a ton of things like Thors, because that means your opponent's going to try and muscle through and kill all the Broodlords. But that was very much not the case. Now we're seeing more Infestors on the way for Cham, which are always good. Hellion run by for BratOK, looking to get on in here. Looks like some Roaches and Infestors will respond. Very mature by BratOK, just running away, realizing those units not going to get a lot done. And all that considered, we've now seen this game calm down a little bit. Both these guys are sitting back, they're chilling for a bit. And let's take a look here. Now we're seeing BratOK build Thors, and basically Thors are a unit that can try and muscle through the Broodlords. They're the only ground unit that Terran has that really can do it, if they've got the adequate support, because yeah, look at this, Thors and Liberators on the way is an interesting choice. But no, you get enough Thors as a Terran, and you can chew through a lower number of Broodlords, as Zerg sometimes won't make enough. That's why we see Zergs sort of flip-flopping on whether they have enough Broodlords. Cham currently has 10, there's 5 Thors out, with another 3 on the way, so I think that's enough for BratOK to bully his way through. There's the Infestors, which are, there's Infestors, but they don't have Neural Parasites, so they're not going to be able to take down the Thors like that. One thing that is important is that Cham has seen all of these Thors, and he's actually just pushing on in, looking to take out this base. He's just got Broodlords, Corruptors, and Infestors, though. This is a very risky unit composition to move in with, and he does realize that, so Cham is going to back out right now. And let's see, the flagship of Terran Mech flying across to Cham's side of the map. BratOK probably had like a unit stuck or something and was like, get this thing out of here. As a matter of fact, he's still got units stuck in here. You gotta lower those depots, get these guys out. A few thick Thors can't get out of the main base of BratOK, and that's actually a very significant portion of his army. Like, BratOK, you need to get those Thors out of there, lower those depots. Oh man, he's got 4 Thors stuck in his base right now. That's concerning. This is not okay as BratOK. Like, if he goes and takes a fight, thinking that he's got all of his supply, and this happens to everyone, including pro gamers, like, you want to get those units out of there. Oh man, these Thors are stuck. They want out, but it's just not happening. Okay, the depots get lowered. Oh, okay. 4 Thors back in action, getting into the fight. Now, something that we see is that Cham, he's identified the fact that it is going to be the mass Thor attempt to break the Zerg army at this point. And what he's doing right now is he's getting up a ton of Vipers so he can throw down Parasitic Bomb or abduct Thors if need be. He's building more Broodlords because for now he sees, yes, I do need a lot more Broodlords because that's what my that's what's gonna deal with the Thors on the ground. The Vikings and Liberators are still a concern, but the Parasitic Bomb and Infestors can help deal with that. A few Corruptors may be good, and there's actually 10 out, which is probably an adequate amount. It is a fine line to walk when you've only got a limited number of supply. Now, this game, calming down a little bit. Both these guys sitting back. BratOK continuing to get his upgrades, getting his ship weapons, getting his vehicle weapons. Cham just getting his attack upgrades. There has been no Carapace upgrades for Cham just yet, which is understandable since it's a lot of Cyclones and stuff, but as a Zerg, you can eventually get those, and Cham has a bank, so it might be worth it for him to invest it. For now, though, Cham looking to push forward, moving in with Spores and Spines. Look at this. He's going to try and use the Broodlord's strength, which is their range and their ability to tie up units. Of course, the Thors also have the high range, but they Thors are bulky guys, and they can get picked off. So Cham doing a great job using this cliff. Actually, he is going to lose a Broodlord or two to some Vikings, but there's Fungal, there's Parasitic Bomb, there's even Corruptors out. So Cham, it's not like he's going to take major losses to those few Vikings. Abducts are going to start going down for Cham. This is how I like to see Zergs try and deal with this Terran mech army, and we'll see if Cham's able to do it. He's lost a few of his Spore Crawlers. I'd like to see him, if he can, say, start up a few more here, because if he's going to keep pushing his opponent, it's all about the efficiency. It's all about whittling your opponent down. These Vipers, high energy, Infestors, high energy. This army is very tough for a Zerg to use, but if done right, oh, it can be so effective. Now, what are we seeing? We're seeing a few Thors and Cyclones move south. Cham being like, or BratOK being like, okay, I'll push into other locations. Few Corruptors get abducted. Nicely done. You got to be careful for, as Cham, though, you don't want to bleed any units forward. You don't want Infestors to walk into liberation zones or things like that. And suddenly, what we're seeing right now is that a few Cyclones pull the army back. Another fungal growth going down on them. Cyclones do get picked off, though. Cham, once again, moving forward. And BratOK, he's actually moving to the left, so he's not having it. He knows that he doesn't want to engage this army head-on. He's got a ton of Liberators, but Liberators are pretty susceptible to Parasitic Bomb. They've got a fair bit of health, but it's still rather concerning. And okay, look at this. BratOK, he's successfully pulled Cham back. He's successfully dictated the terms of this battle as he moved out, and now Cham is coming back to try and cover his butt here as he's knowing that he's in trouble. Realizing, okay, I can't or don't want to go for a base trade, so I've got no choice but to come back, except the fact that I'm going to lose a base. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cham try and expand to the right here. There's a few Hellions there waiting, though, so while Cham has this strong army, BratOK's doing a good job with his positional play for now. Some Hellions going to be looking for more run-bys, perhaps. For now, the head-to-head army is pretty scary. We are seeing some Flyer Carapace, which is very important for the Zerg player. In fact, maybe so important he should have got it a little bit sooner. But for now, Cham just sitting back. He's got a big bank. He's in no danger of dying. But this is a very risky situation for both players, because take a look at the resources lost. Cham's actually been being very efficient, but he's actually moving forward, taking a lot of damage there. Liberator Splash gets some fantastic spells off on the Liberators of BratOK, actually catching a ton of them. A Parasitic Bomb or two going down there. These Liberators are taking a beating. Look at this. Oh, that Parasitic Bomb isn't going to kill them all. Oh, it's going to be so close. Oh, all those injured Liberators get on out of there. Cham trying to get some good spells off. Got to be so careful pursuing this army, but that's where Zerg can really get their value in these spells with AoE, but he's running forward. Oh, the Thors turn around and pick off so many Vipers. Parasitic Bomb goes down. Looks like 2-3 Thors get abducted, at least getting a bit of value there, but that was a lot of dead Vipers there, which really hurt for Cham. As he's going to have to make more, start building up energy. Without the Vipers, I don't know if you can push into a tear, because that Parasitic Bomb, that Abduct, that Blinding Cloud, they're all such good spells on that unit. So efficient at dealing versus this composition. And Cham realizes that 6 more Vipers on the way. Now, Cham, he's trying to get his economy back on track. He's got a massive bank, 6,000 minerals, 3,000 gas. And let's take a look. Infestors moving forward to try and deal with Hellions. Always a little bit risky, since Infestors are a bit of a glass cannon, but they do deal with that. Cham maybe wanting to expand on the right side or something, as it is a good idea to keep expanding as a Zerg. Now we're seeing some spines go up at this location for Cham, wanting to keep his economy going, because he knows that he'll burn through a bank pretty quickly. Okay. Spore Crawlers moving back. Hatchery getting up. This game has been a passive one. It's been a fantastic Terran versus Zerg so far, though. Let's just see how this is going. Hellions just cleaning up more creep. Cham done a good job keeping his creep going, though. And let's take a look. Spines, Corruptors on the way. This is an amazing TvZ. Abduct's going down on the Thors. This is where there's a lot of value. You got to be careful as the Zerg player, but oh, beautiful parasitic bomb going down there, just forcing a reaction out of BratOK. And this is where you get the efficiency as the Zerg player. Cham using his air units, abducting Liberators, getting spells off. Oh, he's being pretty bold moving forward though, but the Broodlords are starting to get some value, even at fungal growth going down on some of the Vikings there, and there's still so many more spells that he has at his disposal. He's engaging into BratOK. The Blinding Cloud is preventing the Thors from engaging the Broodlords. I think Cham may just be going for a killing move. My mouse is dying right now. That is not good. The Thors have to retreat. The Liberators are zoning out the Infestors for now, so Cham has to be careful in that regard. But he has enough Corruptors to push the Vikings back. He's got the Broodlord, so he's actually breaking his position. I think Cham may have done it. BratOK's bank is pretty much gone, and Cham, making pretty much the perfect ratio of units at this point in the game, has done incredibly well, as BratOK just not having the army to deal with that. Maybe he needed something else. Maybe he needed like a Raven or two for anti-armor missiles or something like that, because Cham, with enough Broodlords, great spells, it looked like it was a little dicey him committing there. But no, he actually realized that he could kill his opponent. The Liberators for BratOK maybe were his weakest point, as they didn't do too much there, and maybe he invested in a few too many, but for now, Cham just broke BratOK. BratOK, he's still got command centers, he's still got CCs for days so he can drop mules, but this is rarely a good position for a Terran in which you're just frantically trying to make enough units to hang on, in which you're just sort of pinned by the Zerg right now. Hellbats are morphing. There's a decent number of Vikings. BratOK's gonna go for it. I mean, army supply's not too far apart, but look at these Thors clumping up on each other. The Thors are hitting some Corruptors and such. The Vikings are still there. But oh, can BratOK break out of this? He's staying alive for now, but he's taken one heck of a beating. A Liberator and an SCV are tag teaming a hatchery as this is going on, but CCs have been lifted. BratOK's pretty well pinned here. He probably needs to be dropping as many mules as he can, because his economy, other than those mules, is not great. He's making Thors, making whatever he can. There's a chance that he can just take a good fight here if Cham makes a misstep, and that's what you gotta hope for in his position like this guy. This is like a WCS game, guys, so these guys are giving it their all. Out comes BratOK, though. He's going to try and engage on in here. He's got a pretty nice angle with his Vikings. There's actually no Vipers in this. There's Parasitic Bomb, though. Who's going to take this fight? The Thors are actually doing a pretty decent job, but a lot of Infested Terran have got in here, and the Vikings, there's not enough. They're being pushed back. Cham made so many Corruptors. A lot of the Corruptors are in the red, but it's too much Zerg. GG. Cham takes the game. Very well played. Just beautifully done by the Zerg player there. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Let's try and hit 20 likes on this video. That's the goal. So take a look at that like button and maybe think about pressing it. But if you're new to the channel and enjoy these epic game casts, or at least epic games with casting, feel free to subscribe, as I'm always putting out more of this content, lots of tournament VODs and things like that. This channel is the place to be for that. But I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.